so then you go to the other aspect of this, which you mentioned there, Sydney Theatre Company, the pro-Palestinian sort of rhetoric which is out there. Now, you've also seen a complaint which has come from the Israel Foreign Minister Eli Cohen, who has slammed the UN women's body for taking 57 days to condemn the events that took place on October 7. So he wrote that UN women are turning a blind eye to war crimes, crimes against humanity and sexual crimes committed by the Hamas terror group. Have a listen. Let's go, Caroline, now. You can see and understand how the UN has handled this, but that's the point, isn't it, here, that this is not the way in which the rest of the world would have imagined that they would have or should have been handling this.
Well, I think anyone who's been paying attention to the United Nations and how it treats Israel completely could have foreseen this. But it is to their absolute shame that they took almost 2 months to respond to this, when anyone with eyes could see that there was sexual violence against women. The first images we saw of women being brought, Israeli women being brought into Gaza, bleeding from their private regions in states of undress as members of Hamas and civilians, Palestinian civilians, spat on their bodies. It was obvious there was sexual violence taking place. And yet, UN Women, who has a position on every type of gendered violence around the world, anything, if a man so much as looks at a woman the wrong way, they're likely to speak out about it, was silent about this issue. And it was disgusting. There was eyewitness testimony of it. There was the evidence that we could see with our own eyes. There was first responders' evidence of what they came across in the scenes of young girls being raped. It was Hamas terrorists' own evidence under interrogation. We saw videos of them even talking about raping corpses. And yet the United Nations failed to say anything. And when it did, it put out the weakest, most disgusting response, not even blaming, saying they regret that fighting has resumed, failing to acknowledge why that's the case because of Hamas breaking the ceasefire, and then going on to talk about violence against both Israeli and Palestinian women when the facts remain that they have not acknowledged the sexual violence against Israeli women for 2 months.
And as you say, we're talking about no lesser body than the United Nations.
Yeah, but I mean, we all know this, and everyone watching knows this. By the way, sorry for swearing before. Naughty me, apologies. But we're in this scenario
Didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. That's the scary thing. I apologise. Yes, I apologise. So the full nanofilter on it slipped ever so slightly. Apologise. Merry Christmas, everyone. The United Nations is not the independent arbiter anymore. It has, so rather than being post-World War II, the place where the post-World War II order was being put in place in order to either keep its funds up or add more countries or move more people around or try to play the rules of fairness, you have to get lectures on human rights from countries like Saudi Arabia. The World Health Organization gets heavily infiltrated by China. The Security Council passes every resolution they can against Israel, but nothing against anything that's ever done to Israel. So what I'm noticing in all of this, and it's good we're talking about it, it's good that it's underlined about the failures of these things, but my view is we are seeing, in times of stress like this, you get to see who you can trust. And you are seeing time after time after time, thanks, no thanks, go away, not interested, and they're being exposed. Which means when they turn around in 6 months' time or in a few months' time in the lead up to January 26 and say, about Australia's past, you go, sorry, what about the current? What about the present? You were asleep at the wheel on that, so ta-da, move on.